Hello, I'm Jan from The Upcoming. It's a pleasure talking to you
Nice to meet you,
today.
Jan.
So tell me, what is Victoria about, and tell me something more about the premise of your film.
Vittoria, the main thrust of the story in terms of what actually happens, is a woman, an everyday woman, who has a dream shortly after the death of her father. And in this dream, the father brings her a little girl. Okay? She has three sons already, she has a job, she has a family, she has everything she needs in life. But this recurring dream starts to haunt her, really. And she feels like this child, this girl in the dream, is her child, and that she wants a daughter. What actually happens in the film, it's her journey through adoption, through international adoption, which ends with the adoption of this girl. But what the film is actually more about in terms of theme is this idea that she has that comes from a recurring dream is considered pretty crazy by everybody who surrounds her, in her family, the institutions and organizations of the internet, of the adoption world. And so it's really more of a story about a woman who has a deep, deep desire, who everybody else thinks is irrational and unnecessary, but she follows it anyway.
And who or what inspired the story?
Well, actually, the real people that are playing in the film are the one who lived through the story. This adoption was made 8 years ago in real life, and so it was inspired by them, definitely.
And how did you meet your characters for the first time?
Actually, we met Marilena Amato, which is playing the main role in the film, Jasmine. We met during the shooting of our previous film called California. She was playing a role there. She's a non-professional actor. She's an hairdresser from Naples. And during a working break, she told us this story, the story of the adoption she did. And so that's how then we started. So we basically met on our previous film.
And did you have to gain her trust and build like the kind of a relationship between each other to start the film?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The kind of the whole basis of our entire work is really about the relationships with the people who we're working with. And before doing this type of cinema, we worked a lot in realism and journalism and documentary film. Access to characters and getting to know people and getting them to trust you is really half the battle. And because we were asking them basically to relive something, a very, very important event, one of the most important experiences of their life, we're asking them to really go there emotionally and relive everything through mise-en-scène. The whole film is mise-en-scène, even though it's a real story and they're the real people who live the experience, all mise-en-scène. Asking them to do that, I mean, we had to know each other and they had to trust us, and that was a process that happened over time.
This approach really reminded me of Carlos Reigadas and the way he mixes the fiction with reality. And did you have him in mind, or did you have other directors in mind as well?
In generally, I think, of course, we see, a lot of movies, a lot of directors that we like. But in a way, I think this, let's say, our method comes more from our years we spent doing documentaries. I think it was a kind of natural evolution from documentaries going into fiction, like, through this way. But if I have to say like one name that we kind of let's say in a way follow, I think it would be the Dardenne brothers, like the Belgian brothers filmmaker. I think it's kind of our way.
And what was it like for you to work together on set? Can you explore your directing dynamics for me? Something how it looked like?
We don't have like a strict, division of, okay, you do this, I do that, you do this. It goes, like we talk, and we sometimes Casey follows more the actors, and more with the DOP trying to find the frame. Sometimes it's the opposite. So it's quite, can you say fluid. Or fluid, and. But I think it's very important also because our crew it's quite small. We don't have like 60 people crew, so we have to be dynamic and do several things at the same time. So the fact to be in two and to know each other since long, it helps a lot.
And is it sometimes difficult for you to like find this common language? Like, how do you handle any sorts of disagreements? Or do you have any disagreements that you have to explore?
Not usually. Every now and then a disagreement comes up. Every now and then a disagreement comes up. For example, in our last film, we couldn't agree on whether to include one last scene before the final scene of our film. And it was really one of those times, one of the few times where we really had a different opinion if this one scene went in there. And we went back and forth. It was never a fight, right? But we went back and forth. Should we put it in? Should we put it out? And finally, one of our colleagues said, do the thing, cater to the person who is most bothered by it, right? And so that's what we ended up doing, yeah. Almost like it was some kind of couples therapy or something like that, yeah. But it usually doesn't happen. We feel fortunate because the working relationship is good and it's active.
So before we wrap up, I need to ask, because you portray the truth of your character, but this is not the objective truth. And I'm curious, how do you try to handle dealing with different perspectives of different characters? Because she's not the only heroine of the film. There are other characters who appear as well.
I mean, this story is just one of those stories where the point of view of the film is clearly the main characters. It doesn't veer far from the point of view of the main character. And in terms of whether she, the mother, our protagonist, is representative of other families in the adoption world or not, we knew from the beginning that she's not. She's not representative of the families, the majority of families out there who are trying to adopt, right? They're going through the same processes, but she's not representative. But because it was such a singular story and strictly from her point of view, we weren't trying to really make a film that did that kind of more general representation of the subject matter.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.